Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're looking at one of the absolute most fascinating cultural transformations of the 21st century. We're diving right in to how Taiwan's National Palace Museum took a massive, nearly 700,000-piece ancient imperial collection and completely reinvented it. Seriously, they didn't just preserve history, they turned it into highly sought-after, viral, everyday merchandise. It's a total masterclass in modernizing antiquity, and I'm so excited to walk you through exactly how they pulled this off. So you have to realize the National Palace Museum houses treasures spanning the Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties. We're talking about artifacts that were moved to Taiwan to protect them during historical conflicts. Highly delicate, incredibly old, and historically weighty items. So the core challenge here becomes, how do you get modern people, especially younger generations, to actively engage with this stuff? How do you make something that literally belongs behind bulletproof glass feel relevant to someone just scrolling on their phone today? To really get their strategy, let's quickly compare the museum's two physical campuses, because they perfectly represent this dual approach to culture. On one hand, you've got the northern branch in Taipei. It's built like a grand, traditional Chinese palace right up against the mountains, and it holds the core collection, the really heavy hitters of ceramics, paintings, and jade. But then you've got the southern branch down in Chiayi, featuring this incredibly modern architecture inspired by traditional ink painting strokes. That branch is all about exploring diverse Asian cultures. And honestly, this exact blend of the highly traditional and the ultra-modern is the exact energy they brought to their merch. Section 1. The Palace Treasures. Before we can even fully appreciate the wild merchandise they created, we gotta understand the absolute masterpieces that inspired it all. These are the artifacts drawing record-breaking crowds. You literally cannot talk about the National Palace Museum without talking about the jadeite cabbage. And it's not just any carving. The artists so smartly utilized the natural green and white color gradient of a single piece of jadeite to create a remarkably realistic head of bok choy. Plus, if you look super closely at the leaves, there are actually two insects carved right into them, a locust and a katydid. In ancient times, those symbolized fertility and a long family line. It's just a total masterpiece of natural observation. Then there's the museum's second most famous piece, the meat-shaped stone. This is a natural piece of jasper stone that an artisan meticulously dyed and carved to look exactly like a fresh, hot piece of dong po pork, basically braised pork belly. The attention to detail is just mind-blowing. I mean, the artist even drilled tiny holes into the surface so it actually has visible skin pores. It genuinely looks delicious, which, I know, is a really bizarre thing to say about a rock, but it perfectly shows the playful illusion of ancient art. And finally, rounding out the famous trio, we have the Mao Gong Ding. At first glance, you might think it just looks like a simple, somewhat weathered bronze pot from the late Western Zhou dynasty. But it holds massive historical significance. Why? Because the inside of the bowl is inscribed with exactly 500 characters. That is the longest bronze inscription ever discovered anywhere in the world. It makes it an absolute treasure trove for historians and linguists studying ancient text. Section 2. A modern museum makeover. For the longest time, museum gift shops everywhere were pretty much the same. You'd exit through the gift shop and find boring plastic replicas, maybe some dusty bookmarks, and the standard postcards. But the National Palace Museum decided to totally flip the script on what museum merchandise could actually be. They shifted to a completely new design philosophy, moving away from untouchable history straight into everyday life. They realized that to keep history alive, they had to break the glass case, figuratively speaking. So they started designing items that brought ancient museum pieces into everyday life through three main pillars: humor, utility, and modern aesthetics. The goal was for you to actually use these items, not just stick them on a shelf to collect dust. Section 3, the Emperor's Viral Words. So, digging into the museum's archives of old imperial documents, they found their first massive commercial hit. This is literally the item that broke the internet for them. They found these old reports where Emperor Kangxi had handwritten a very brief, kind of arrogant red-inked note. It essentially translates to, "I have received your report," or just simply, "I know." Well, they took this authentic, bossy imperial handwriting and printed it on everyday washi tape. Suddenly, you could seal your envelopes, tape up your notes, or wrap your packages with the ultimate royal stamp of approval. It was a hilarious, viral sensation that perfectly mashed up royal authority with totally mundane daily tasks. Following up on that wild success, they looked at the final imperial exams. You know, the most stressful, high-stakes tests in ancient history. They took the exact phrase emperors used to officially crown the absolute top scorer of those exams and etched it right onto a metal pen.
Now, this top scorer's Imperial branded pen is a huge hit with Taiwanese students. They buy it as a lucky charm during exam seasons, which is such a cool way to directly connect ancient academic pressure with modern student life.
Section 4. High-tech historical fashion. But they definitely didn't stop at stationery and tape. They wanted to go way bigger. So they began collaborating with major brands to infuse history right into technology, vehicles, and even high-end lifestyle fashion. We're talking partnerships with appliance companies to print massive, serene ancient landscape paintings onto glass door refrigerators, literally turning a kitchen appliance into living room art. They teamed up with eMoving to create special edition electric scooters, etching the gorgeous, intricate patterns from royal vases and the Tibetan Dragon Sutra straight onto the scooter bodies. They even took delicate dragon motifs from blue and white porcelain and subtly electroplated them onto the lenses of modern aviator sunglasses. It is just the ultimate fusion of classic art and modern urban living. Section 5. Cartoons meet antiquity. To further break down that untouchable museum stereotype, especially for kids and younger generations, they executed another brilliant strategy. They brought in the heavy hitters. They paired Sanrio favorites like Hello Kitty, My Melody, and Kuromi, dressed them up in historical costumes, and had them pose with the jadeite cabbage and the meat-shaped stone for calendars and coasters. They also partnered up with Line Friends, taking super popular characters like Brown and Coney and having them time travel through 5 different dynasties: Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Shang. By slapping these characters onto notebooks with historical facts on the back, they made learning about dynasties actually fun, highly collectible, and totally unintimidating. Section 6. Smart lifestyle and utility. Now, this is where the product design gets truly clever, taking shapes from antiquity and giving them a brand new, highly practical purpose for your home or office. Take the Black Jade cat, for example. This was inspired directly by an actual stone cat artifact sitting in the museum. But instead of just churning out a replica statue, they turned it into reusable marble whiskey stones. You literally just freeze these little stone cats, drop them into your drink, and they cool your beverage perfectly without melting and watering it down. It's practical, it looks stylish, and it is a guaranteed conversation starter at any party. Or consider this one. Honestly, this might be my absolute favorite just for the sheer humor of it. They created a classic U-shaped travel neck pillow, but designed it to look exactly like the famous, highly asymmetrical falling horse hairstyle that court women wore in the Tang dynasty. So picture this. You're sleeping on an airplane with this wrapped around your neck, and from the front, it literally looks like you're sporting a giant, hilarious ancient hairdo. It's brilliant, it's comfortable, and it absolutely guarantees a laugh. And for the office, they took inspiration from the incredibly famous Northern Song Dynasty Celadon lotus-shaped warming bowl. That ancient piece of pottery is super well known for its elegant, minimalist lines. Well, the museum reimagined those exact aesthetic lines into a modern, flexible silicone tea infuser. It lets you enjoy the refined, minimalist beauty of the Song Dynasty right at your desk while you're brewing your afternoon tea. Section 7. The secret to success. So what should you really take away from this explainer? What's the overarching strategy behind this massive merchandising success? How do you take dusty history, make it trend on social media, and literally sell out in stores? The secret is simply that the National Palace Museum knows how to play. First off, their merchandise is highly practical for modern life. It's not just decorative, it actually serves a purpose. Secondly, it injects genuine humor into history, reminding us that people from the past had real personalities, egos, and quirks. And thirdly, it provides comfort, whether that's a lucky pen to de-stress before a test or a cozy neck pillow for a fright. By blending all these elements together, they've successfully erased some distance between the general public and ancient, priceless artifacts. They made history something you can hold, use, and actually smile at every single day. Which leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end our explainer on today. By putting ancient calligraphy on tape and dynasty artwork on scooters, Taiwan's National Palace Museum proves that culture survives best when it's lived, not just displayed. But it kind of begs the question, doesn't it? If we are currently preserving ancient culture in our modern everyday gadgets, what everyday items from our lives today will preserve our history for the people of the future? Definitely something to think about the next time you pick up a pen or open your fridge. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring.